Tonight, Nicola Sturgeon and Indie Ref 2. The First Minister says she'd quit if Scotland votes no in any future independence referendum.
I think when Scotland next votes on independence, we'll vote yes. But going back to...
but if it doesn't, would you give it up?
I suspect I would make way for somebody else.
Meanwhile, in Westminster, the Prime Minister's Partygate row continues. Also making the headlines, the Calmac saga. Locals on Arran say the ferry service is worse now than it was 50 years ago.
It makes you really think about wanting to come back again, if this is going to be the case.
Come on, someone, give the island a break.
And I'm here at Perth Concert Hall, where over 30 musicians from the Scottish traditional music scene are set to take to the stage for Concert for Ukraine.
I'm Kellyanne Woodland in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6.
Good evening. It's the chat show focused on women, celebrity and topical issues. And today, the First Minister was on the Loose Women panel, being pressed on both Scotland's future and her own future, and suggesting she would quit as First Minister and make way for someone else if Scotland votes no in an Indie Ref 2.
Nicola Sturgeon was speaking for the first time since being warned by police about failing to wear a face mask. She told STV News her breach is not equivalent to the Prime Minister's Partygate problems and is calling on Boris Johnson to resign over his COVID rule breaking. Our Westminster correspondent Catherine Sampson reports.
Please welcome Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon.
The First Minister may be more at home in the chamber than on a chat show, but this lunchtime she faced the Loose Women, daytime panellists demanding to know her future plans.
You know, even if you do get your next referendum on independence... If you lose that one, would you give up then?
I suspect I would make way for somebody else, but I'm not contemplating that.
As pressure continues to build on Boris Johnson over Partygate, the First Minister has been thinking hard about her own COVID breach at the weekend. Before her rules on mask wearing were relaxed in Scotland, she was pictured without one in a barber shop and spoken to by police.
I was talking to people and for a few seconds I forgot to put my mask back on. Now, I do think it is important for me to recognise that was wrong and I shouldn't have, even for those few seconds, it lapsed in that. So I recognise the onus that is on me. People will make up their own minds about that. I don't think it is equivalent to what Boris Johnson is accused of, what appears to be serial culture of law-breaking in Number 10, but then the misleading of Parliament.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister was trying to divert attention from his rule-breaking as Labour pushed for him to go.
Why does the Prime Minister think everybody else's actions have consequences except his own?
I've explained why I bitterly regret receiving an FPN. I apologise to the House. But he asks about the actions for which I take responsibility. And I'll tell him we're going to get on with delivering for the British people.
People don't want to hear any more glib, half-hearted non-apologies or hear him witter on about getting on with the job. They just want this Pinocchio Prime Minister to pack his bags and go.
MPs can't accuse each other of lying in the chamber, so he was told off.
Pinocchio is not acceptable. I'm sure the member wishes to withdraw it quickly.
But tomorrow, opposition leaders will try to force an investigation into whether the Prime Minister has misled Parliament.
And Catherine, do you think MPs will be successful in getting this investigation into whether the Prime Minister misled Parliament?
Well, look, we're expecting a full and probably quite fierce day of debate here tomorrow with a vote at the end of it. But at this stage, it looks almost certain that the government will defeat this motion because the Conservatives, of course, have a considerable majority. Interesting who's not going to be here tomorrow. The Prime Minister himself will not be there. He's on a trip to India. That suggests a certain confidence. The Chancellor won't be there. And also the Scottish Conservative leader, Douglas Ross, isn't going to be there either. He's up at Holyrood for First Minister's questions and we're told he'll be out campaigning after that. What will be interesting tomorrow, though, to see really, what Conservative MPs abstain, what Conservative MPs feel they cannot express confidence in the Prime Minister. And I think that's what opposition parties will really be looking to capitalise on.
Catherine at Westminster, thank you.
A man has admitted killing his toddler son in Edinburgh by smothering him and shooting him, but denies it was murder. 41-year-old Lucas Chaplin attacked 2-year-old Julius in November 2020 at a house in the city's Muirhouse area.
Today, the High Court in Edinburgh heard that Chaplin had lodged a special defence of diminished responsibility. Ivana Holland was in court.
A lovely, happy wee boy. The words used to describe a life taken too soon. Today, Julius Chaplin's father, Lucas, admitted killing the 2-year-old, but on the lesser charge of culpable homicide, a plea prosecutors at Edinburgh High Court rejected. He's charged with striking his toddler with a skewer or similar item, shooting him with an air pistol in the head, and smothering him with a pillow. Defence QC Ian McSporn then called for a special defence of diminished responsibility. The former IT technician had said the breakdown of his relationship with Julius's mum, Patricia Jesniak, had been brutal. A neighbour told the jury that she thought the family were always happy.
Miss Gorey described to the jury how Julius's mother, Patricia, entered the house on the morning of 21st of November 2020 and went into the room and came out screaming, shouting, my baby, he's killed my baby," and begged Miss Gorey and those around her to help save her child. Soon after, Lucas Chaplin jumped into a car and sped off. Miss Gorey described 2-year-old Julius as a bright and outgoing young boy.
Consultant psychiatrist Debbie Mountain, who interviewed Chaplin whilst he was in custody, said she saw no evidence of mental illness. The accused told her he remembered wanting to take his own life that night and tried to overdose on antidepressants. He said he had no memory of the tragic incident. Mr. Chaplin faces a total of 10 charges, including dangerous driving and possession of indecent photographs of children. The trial continues.
The saga of Calmax or Drossen Brodick sailings continues. Businesses and families are telling STV News they're considering moving off the Isle of Arran because of ongoing issues with the boats. Locals say the ferry service is worse now than it was 50 years ago.
It comes as the route's biggest ship is out of action again, this time due to engine failure. With 10 crossings cancelled today, local shops are running out of stock, fuel supplies are getting low and tourists can't visit. Polly Bartlett sent us this report from Brodick.
A picture-perfect place to spend the Easter break. But in reality, a holiday here is far from relaxing.
We have to extend our holiday by a couple of days and run out of pills and all these essential things, but hopefully we'll go home today. But come on, someone, give the island a break.
It was 27 hours until I got home, and I've missed out on work yesterday as well, so I don't know if I'm getting paid or not for yesterday.
It sort of makes you really think about wanting to come back again, if this is going to be the case all the time. So yeah, it's really stressful actually.
We had a fantastic Easter weekend. Things started really, really well. The businesses were all open, welcoming visitors. I mean, the island was ready and looking fabulous, as you can see. And on Sunday we had the breakdown of the Caledonian Isles. That kind of put things into a bit of chaos.
This is the boat that's causing the problems. It's the main crossing to the island, and now it's lying out of action because of engine failure.
At this point in time, until that's investigated, of course, we don't know the full issue there. But we do recognise the impact it has, especially on an Easter weekend where we know how busy the service is. And, you know, I can only apologise for the disruption.
Just take a look at the size of the queue behind me here, and this isn't even the worst it's been. Some cars have been waiting for more than 6 hours to get on a boat, and because you can't book on, it's not even clear if these people will get on a boat today. The issues are now so bad that some families are considering moving back to the mainland.
It makes me sad because how are these island communities going to survive in the long term? Do we want them just to be island holiday parks, or do we want them to be vibrant, real living economies?
Long queues mean the local shop is close to running out of supplies and its owners out of patience.
We don't get supplies, our customers don't get what they need, and it's an existential threat to businesses like this. We will not be here a year, 2 years from now if this continues. That's undoubtedly the case.
The route is awaiting a new boat, which is 5 years overdue and won't be ready until at least next year. But what's clear today is this island doesn't have time to wait.
Polly, this is a never-ending saga for those who rely on the ferry services.
Yes, John, and there was a real sense of anger in Arran today. Businesses and livelihoods rely on these communities, and in fact, £1,000 worth of potatoes have been sitting in a van here in Ardrossan all day, and if they don't make it across the water tonight, the chip shop will close and lose 60% of its revenue. Now, Calmac has added another vessel to its other Arran crossing, but that one requires drivers to drive an extra 100 miles to get to the departure point. And the Caledonian Isles, the ship that's covering that one, is really vulnerable in bad weather and prone to cancellations. And with high winds expected this weekend, well, islanders are really fearing a shortage of fuel and food. On top of all of this, the MV Clansman, which operates out of Oban, well, today it suffered a technical fault, meaning more delays and cancellations for ferry passengers and, well, more bad news for people living in Scotland's island communities.
Polly in Ardrossan, thank you. Other stories across Scotland, and 5 people have been arrested in connection with the death of a man found injured in the East End of Glasgow. Craig Watson died at Whitefield Gardens in Denniston after midnight on Sunday. 3 teenage boys and 2 men are in custody.
Rail passengers can purchase half-price tickets for some journeys on off-peak trains from next month. ScotRail's scheme will be valid for outward travel between the 9th of May and the 31st, with return journeys completed by the end of June.
Motorists of self-driving cars will be able to watch TV behind the wheel under proposed changes to the Highway Code. There are no vehicles approved for self-driving yet, but the first could be on the roads later this year. It will still be illegal to use a phone behind the wheel. The amount of money we are spending when we head to the shops has returned to pre-pandemic levels for the first time since the COVID crisis began. Last month, retail figures were up by 0.6% when compared with March 2019.
But while bosses say sales figures are sparkling, they're also warning of economic storm clouds as the cost of living crisis shows no sign of slowing down. Ollie Dickinson reports.
It's been a tough 36 months for retail in Scotland. A combination of COVID lockdowns, Brexit-related stock shortages and rising inflation means we've changed how we spend the pound in our pocket. Today's figures might show signs of recovery, though, with sales returning to pre-pandemic levels last month.
So these are pretty positive figures for Scotland's retailers. It's the first growth we've seen this year. It's the first growth we've really seen in quite some time. But there's a big caveat towards this, and that's that there's an awful lot of inflation within these figures, and particularly in food. And food sales were what drove a lot of this growth. We, of course, know that's hitting our customers too. So that's making us a bit nervous, even though this is really positive.
And those nerves come just as our streets are going through a major change. Sauchiehall Street here in Glasgow is like countless others up and down Scotland. It was once a shopping destination, but now many of the big name retailers have left, and with them have gone the customers who would have gone there. And when people do venture into the city centre, the experience they're looking for is much different from even 5 years ago. The St James Quarter in Edinburgh aims to meet those expectations. Developers here have combined bars, restaurants, entertainment and shops with apartments that people can live in.
It's convenient.
It is, I suppose. If you're feeling anything downstairs, then it's very convenient.
This has got everything you want, but it's good for the high street. You know, the wee small shops are nice as well, you know, the wee individual shops. But this is handiness for everything you want.
There's still stores in the high street that I would go to, but I come here because it's nice and dry. I know it's kind of indoor, outdoor, but it's got everything I need.
It's not just our city centres facing challenges, though. Scotland's towns are also adapting.
A lot of people walk along the high street that don't really want to buy anything. They're just maybe hoping to bump into someone and have a wee chat. There's more chance of that happening if you go to the town centre. So, just remembering that, retail is in decline. And the future is about, you know, what is the motivation for going to the town centre and opportunities for connection and belonging.
Whatever the future vision for our towns and cities may be, there is no escaping the sense of short-term uncertainty. Ollie Dickinson, STV News.
This guy to my left is Ronnie. He's got all the sport.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Yes, I do. Good evening. Kyle Lafferty says he's ready to fire Kilmarnock back to where they belong as they get set for their potential title decider against Arbroath this week. The Northern Irishman was speaking after being nominated for the PFA's Player of the Year, but admits he only has eyes on promotion. He's the man who's helped fire Kilmarnock within a win of promotion.
Kyle Lafferty's back with a bang!
And having only rejoined the club in January, now Kyle Lafferty is up for the Championship Player of the Year, alongside Partick Thistle's Scott Tiffany and Arbroath duo Michael McKenna and Thomas O'Brien. But the Northern Irish striker is only focusing on guiding Kelly back to the top.
I didn't come back to Kilmarnock to hit personal targets or get nominated or win Player of the Year in the Championship. I came back to win the league with Kilmarnock, and that's first and foremost. Anything else comes with it is a bonus for me and bonus for the club. They're a Premiership team, and everyone knows that.
Derek McInnes's side sit at the summit of the second tier, 1 point ahead of Arbroath with just 2 games left. A win against their title rivals on Friday would see an immediate return to the Premiership for the Ayrshire side. But against their part-time opponents, McInnes admits the pressure is all on his players.
There's pressure on everybody that works at Kilmarnock from day one this season to get the club back to the Premier League. So we've been here 3 months effectively, and we're trying to build confidence and be obviously try to build that level of performance that puts us in this position, and what a position we're in.
It would certainly be up there, if not the best thing that's ever happened to Dick Campbell, but I know indirectly I'll look back on a historical season, even what we've achieved now. But you really desperately want to go and win the championship. I'll be dancing around Arbroath for about 3 weeks.
The match at Rugby Park kicks off on Friday at 7:45. Staying with football, and Hibs owner Ron Gordon says he was left with no choice but to sack Sean Maloney, admitting the club rushed his appointment. Maloney was relieved of his duties after only 4 months in the role at Easter Road. He failed to get Hibs into the top 6, as well as losing to rivals Hearts in the Scottish Cup semi-finals.
There was a risk, and certainly I had that same conversation with Sean himself. This is a risk for the club. But we made the decision, and I would venture to say, in retrospect, looking back, we probably rushed that. The timing wasn't necessarily the best.
John Higgins says he was delighted his game held up after securing his place in the second round of the World Snooker Championships. The Wizard of Wishaw, who won the last of his 4 world titles in 2011, beat Thailand's Un Nu by 10 frames to 7 at the Crucible. And finally to tennis, where Andy Murray has been given a wild card entry to this month's Madrid Open. The Scot accepted an invitation to play in Spain despite ruling himself out of the clay court season way back in February. That is all your sport from me tonight, folks. As ever, keep up to date on our website. Bye for now.
Get your fill of the action. STV Sports, sponsored by Papa John's Pizza.
Now, Philip has the weather forecast.
Watch out for a sudden temperature drop. TUI Blue Hotels sponsor STV Weather.
Well, at the moment we've got a large area of high pressure to the north of us that's dominating our weather, pushing these frontal systems and this low pressure to the south of the UK. So that means things are staying settled for the rest of this week. It's not until the weekend that things turn a little cloudier and wetter. Back to just now though, and overall it has been a lovely day. We've seen lots of sunshine. At the moment there is some cloud just bubbling up across central and western parts. We are seeing 1 or 2 showers, but those will eventually fade away overnight. And for many, it will be dry with clear skies. So where we've got the clear conditions like last night, we could see a touch of frost in rural spots as temperatures get down to -1 or -2 degrees Celsius. For most towns and cities though, staying at around 5 or 6 degrees. Now looking ahead to tomorrow, overall it will be another lovely day. Plenty of sunshine. It does remain dry. We are seeing a mixture of some medium to high level cloud coming and going through the course of the afternoon. Nothing too bad. Temperature-wise, in the best of the brightness, reaching highs of 16 or 17 degrees Celsius, so well above average for the time of year. Slightly cooler further east as we've got a breeze coming in from the cold North Sea. Looking ahead to Friday, a similar looking day once again. The only difference is we'll see a bit more in the way of clouds around. Again, the best chance of any brighter conditions to the north and northwest, where we'll see highs of 16 degrees. Elsewhere, down a few degrees, highs of 12 or 13. Bye-bye.
TUI Blue Hotels. Sponsor STV Weather.
And finally from us, following the success of the concert for Ukraine in Birmingham a few weeks ago, tonight a host of Scottish performers are uniting to raise funds to help the humanitarian crisis.
Dougie McLean, Karen Matheson and Blazing Fiddles are among the acts taking to the stage at Perth Concert Hall. And our reporter Laura Boyd is there to tell us what people can see tonight.
Well, as you can see, last-minute preparations are going on here at Perth Concert Hall just behind me, because in a few minutes the doors are going to open on Scotland's Concert for Ukraine. Now, this involves over 30 acts from Scotland's traditional music scene coming together to perform and raise funds for the Ukrainian Disasters Emergency Committee. They've already raised over £20,000, which is incredible considering they haven't even taken to the stage yet, but it just shows what this means to people. And earlier on, I chatted to the organisers to find out more about it.
Right from the start, we should really be handing out boxes of tissues as we go in the door. It's going to be a very, very powerful evening. And we've got to weave through that of video messages from people in Ukraine, thanking and appreciating the support by the musicians and poets of Scotland.
Everyone's been so enthusiastic to be involved. So you're going to see performances on the stage tonight that you're never going to get to see again, and with the collaborations that have got together for this special concert.
It's organised madness, but the thing is that everybody's here with an open heart and total willingness. Traditional music is the voice of the people, and what better way then of expressing love and solidarity from one people to another.
Well, I'm delighted to be joined now by one of the stars of tonight's show, Scottish music legend Dougie McLean. You get the call for a concert like this. I take it there's no hesitation in taking part.
No, you just do it. I mean, that's what's the wonderful thing about the community of musicians in Scotland. You know that we all kind of know each other. So when the call goes out, everybody kind of just fronts up.
And it's quite a lineup, over 30 performers tonight.
These concerts are great though when you have a kind of cast of thousands, and there's always room for interesting things, to happen, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of them tonight.
And you're performing a particularly special song tonight?
Well, I have lots of songs, but I have a wee song called This Love Will Carry, because it seems to me, no matter but these are terribly troubled times we're all living in for all kinds of reasons, and it seems to me that as long as you've got good friends around who care for you, you can pretty well handle most things, and that's where this song came from.
Dougie, thank you so much for chatting to us. And if you would like to watch tonight's show, then you can Google Concert for Ukraine. It is on YouTube. Enjoy that and donate if you can.
Laura Boyd there. Well, that is all from us. Don't forget, Rona will have Scotland tonight just after the late news.
From all of us, thanks for watching. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.